Be on your best behavior. So live. If anybody's on Facebook, you can go over and then share it out to people as you're there, but we are live on Facebook. I'm going to click over to it, so I'll apologize now for the double take in the voices. There you go. All right, now I can see the comments. So happy Wednesday. Thank you, War Gamers, for coming on board so we can actually get this kicked off. I'm really excited today because I got a friend of mine that I met through a different group who's on here. His name's Brian Galkey, and he is the one who's very pretty, apart from Kimberly, of course, but I mean, dressed all pretty. So with him, what he's done is he's got his own business that he's starting up, and the stuff that he has shared with me that we've gone through was so impressive. And I am setting the bar high for you, Brian, so don't screw it up, okay? And so it was so impressive that I said, I need you to come on to the War Games thing. And a lot of my people are really tired of listening to me. So let's get somebody else to come on, not as pretty, but still just as valuable as far as the information's concerned. So I want to kick off our War Game Wednesday. It is creeping up on 2 o'clock. So I want to throw that over to Brian. And so Brian, let me kick you into the co-host arena. Right. So now you can actually get all that. You accept, and then you get to see everything across the bottom. I'll be patiently adding people into the participant room as they come on board. We've got 5 or 6 people already on the Facebook live stream. So here we go. War Game Wednesday.
Can everybody see the screen over here on how to boom in the time of Zoom?
Yes, and that rhymed.
I like things that rhyme. It makes it easier for me to remember.
Perfect.
So my name is Brian. I'm with the company Settle Skills. We like to call it Settle Skills for an Enhanced Life. And what I'm going to show you guys today is the skill that really changed my life the most. So I was an introvert extrovert growing up, and so I was looked for jobs and careers where people had to come to me. So I worked retail, I waited tables, I was a bartender, I was a bouncer, and then I got into technology. And as I kept progressing up, I started on the help desk because once again, people had to come to me. Then I got promoted to being a trainer, after trainer to a sales engineer, and then, oh crap, I had to start going around people a lot. And by being an introvert extrovert, it's a little bit of, I love being around people, and I was terrified to be around people at the exact same time. Well, I kept seeing more and more success, and then I ended up running across a course that taught me on how to understand facial feature recognition or face reading. And with that, I learned how to interact with people and get out of my own head and into the present moment. And that helped my sales just dramatically increase. So what I would like to do today is show you guys an example of that. So if you guys are ready, it's how to build rapport and increase sales with face reading. So what are we going to learn about today? Some of the benefits that people have reported back to us after learning the skill is promotions, increased sales, enhance every relationship that they have, free upgrades at hotels, airlines, free food and drink, celebrity-like status, and what everybody loves, an increased salary as well. What is it based on? It's actually based on the art of physiognomy, which is understanding people based on their facial features. So people ask all the time, well, aren't facial features genetic? Yes, they absolutely are. And it's just how the brain changes and moves muscle over time, and it alters your face. If you want to learn a little bit about it, I put a link there. You can just go to settleskills.com/history, and you can download the PDF. By the way, I am from Texas, but I talk quite fast because my parents are from New York. So if I go too fast, let me know to slow down. So what if I was to tell you guys you've already had some facial feature training, but you didn't know it? Well, we hear phrases all the time. Keep a stiff upper lip. I'm all ears. You've got a nose for this, and it's written on their face. Even Oscar Wilde said, a man's face is his autobiography. What I really love about this is it's a proactive skill. So once I teach you this today, you can go and do your homework in advance. So when I used to do presentations, I'd have to walk into a room cold, and it'd be anywhere from 3 people to 30 people. And I had to figure out how to interact with that crowd differently. Well, we've all learned things like mirroring and matching, but there wasn't anything I could do ahead of time. Once I learned this skill, I'm going to teach you guys today, is how when you find out who you're going to be meeting with, you can do a little bit of research ahead of time. So you're not being reactive in the moment. You kind of planned out your presentation, how they'll best hear it, and you're there to focus on them while you're there. So Proactive versus reactive. I talked earlier about body language. I am a huge believer. Everybody should learn a little bit about body language. One of my favorite books is What Every Body is Saying by Joe Navarro. Fantastic book on body language. And body language is hugely important because you need to be paying attention to what's going on in the room. And it's not the, oh, well, people have their arms crossed. It's when they change. So there's what's called a baseline. But if I suddenly cross my arms, then it's something to pay attention to. So you need to learn some reactive skills because they help out the environment. Now, the selling environment, pardon me. When I was raised and first got into sales, somebody told me, go pick up the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And, oh, I'm sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself. So the problem with body language this day and age is most of the time it's done over the phone, so you have no visibility. When you go into video conferencing, you can only see this much of somebody's head, like we're all looking at each other today. And then when I would go to actual meetings and presentations, people either had a laptop in front of them, a notebook, something that was blocking the view of their body. So I do still think it's a valuable skill to learn. There's just some downsides to it as well. And what I really love is what I was talking about earlier. Because I'm doing the face reading, I can do a little bit of my homework in advance so that I'm there and I'm present in the room. And if you look at the example here on the screen, when you're reading somebody's body language, you look like the gentleman on the lower right-hand side, where he's looking down and away. However, if you're reading people's facial features, you're actually paying attention to them. And the side effect of that is people feel heard and seen for the first time in a long time because you're actually phone. Got muted there.
You're good.
Oh, we're back. Okay. You guys still see my screen? Joe?
No, I don't see the screen.
Okay.
No, screen went away.
All right. Give me 1 second. All right. Are we back to the
We are back.
pictures? All right. Perfect. So where we're leaving off with, I don't know if anybody heard, was the side effect of reading people's facial features or face reading is that you're actually looking them in the eye and you're giving them your attention. And that's something that's so rare in this day and age because everybody's on their phones, they're on their watches, they're not paying attention. So that's what really changed everything for me. The other skill that I learned growing up in sales was the Dale Carnegie classes, which is search the environment for something to talk about. Look for pictures that they have up in their office. Look and see if there's any sports logos in there. Look for commonalities that you had with the person you were talking to. But the real problem with that is this day and age, we're meeting in coffee shops, we're doing work over Zoom calls, or corporations really don't like the idea that people can organize and have personal effects on their desks. A lot of places are going to bullpens versus offices. So those abilities are still good. However, you're not able to use them quite as much as you used to. So with that, we're going to jump right in and show you an example of the skill. So the first part is, if you know who they are, these are all the people who were judges on The Voice. So when you look at that, okay, oh, what do you see? Well, I see some celebrities. You see a little bit of body language going on. One guy's got his hand in his pocket. Everybody's kind of smiling. But there's nothing in the background that tells you much about them. However, if you learn face reading, what I see is I look at people that I understand 100% why they're on The Voice. And these are the type of people that I would call first versus email or text. And that's based on ear to eye ratio. So when somebody has larger ears compared to eyes, then you know that they're more auditory. So if you guys have ever watched the show, they hear the singer first, and then if they like what they hear, they turn around and then they select if they want to be their coach or not. But these are simple things that just when you look at somebody immediately, you can go, oh, I need to alter my presentation or my interaction with them so they hear me best. A lot of people ask, well, give me something else that this is in reference to, or that kind of give me another analogy. If anybody's ever read The 5 Love Languages by Chapman, he says in the book, the way to break down the barriers of communication is by learning to speak someone else's language. And that's exactly what we're going to be teaching you here today. How long does it take to learn? I'm going to leave, by the time we're done today, you're going to leave with one skill that you can immediately put to use with everybody that you interact with. So with that, everybody ready to go?
Go for it. We
All
already
right.
know that if their ears are bigger than
Yep.
their eyes, we got to make sure we say the right things.
That's right.
And Tyler's ready because he was unmuting. Good job, Tyler.
Step one, once you know who you're going to be looking for, you just do a little bit of research. So the good news is this day and age, you don't have to hide in the bushes and stalk people. You can actually go online and do it with Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. what you do is you just find a good picture of their face. So you'll have multiple different options. LinkedIn is a really good one because people tend to look straight on in their LinkedIn profile. So you want straight on picture, not angled or tilted, and there's a reason for that in a minute, and well lit because you want to see what features stand out on their face. The next part is you have two choices when you're looking at somebody's face, and that is you can say, what's the most prominent thing when I see their face? What would be considered a 9 or 10? So if you were a characterist and you were drawing their face out, what would be the thing that they would emphasize if they were drawing it out? Or what I like to do is you can go more specific. So I look at eyebrows, eyes, nose, and mouth are the top ones because it's in every picture and in every person we meet. Ears are important too, but a lot of times, like in the picture here, they're hidden, so you can't necessarily see that. Step 4, basically, you want to, once you know what those facial features are and what those features mean, then you're going to just translate it so it's better heard by them. And so, for example, I'm more visual than I am auditory. My wife is more auditory than she is visual. So the constant disagreement we have is if she wants something from me, like if I'm going to the store and I'm walking out, then she'll be like, hey, I need this, this, and this. And I'll bring back like 3 of the wrong things and 4 things she didn't ask for. So, but I tell her, hey, if you text me, then I'll come back with everything you want. And then we have to work that in reverse order. If she's leaving, I want to text her because I'm visual, and she'll say, no, just tell me what you want. And she magically comes back with exactly what I asked for. So questions that come up a lot is, well, what if I don't really know who I'm going to be sending the email or who I'm going to be calling? Well, then what you do is you pepper it with the 3 different types of universal language. So you add in some auditory words like, hey, does this sound like a good idea? If they're visual, do you see where I'm coming from? Picture this. If they're kinesthetic, hey, write this down. How does this make you feel? Let's get in touch. You can add that language in no matter who you're talking to. And last but not least, look up, who am I going to be communicating with? What do I read on their features? And then how should I modify my approach to best speak their language? You guys ready to see eyebrows?
So cyber stalking is okay per you, right?
Yeah, for the most part. As long as you don't have a restraining order, I think you're good.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yes. Watch out, Rach. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start with my favorite one, which is eyebrows, or I call just browsing. And the reason why is no matter where you go, you can always see people's eyebrows. And I'll show you people whose eyebrows you can't see in a minute. That's a whole other creepy story. But basically, no matter what their facial features are doing, even from a distance, you have a good idea of what's going on based on their eyebrows. So you take a look at the 3 people here in the picture. It doesn't matter what order they're in, I can still make out their eyebrows. So it doesn't matter if they're the first person, the middle person, or they're far away. I can get enough data here to be dangerous when I'm talking to them to speak their own language. So I told you a little bit earlier about, if you never really thought about how important eyebrows are, Google celebrities without eyebrows. It's a very popular thing. I don't recommend doing that at night because it's very creepy. And for some
that
reason,
is just disturbing on many levels.
These are actually not the worst because they also like to black out teeth when they do it. And that's where it really gets crazy. But I mean, look at Nicolas Cage here without eyebrows. He doesn't look the same, or Angelina Jolie. So we've always paid attention to eyebrows, but we never really knew why we were doing it before or what they meant. But yes, I do not suggest doing this at night at all. So what are eyebrows there for? So they're filters in more than one way. So they stop sweat when it's dripping down your face, but they also are closest to the first primary input organ you have, which is your eyes. And that's why all babies are born with big eyes, because they don't understand language and they don't know how to talk. So you can actually see babies' mouths and ears will get bigger depending on what they tend to favor as they grow older. Eyebrows also tell you how does somebody filter the data that's coming into their eyes. So that's what we're going to jump into now. I like to think about eyebrows like speed bumps. So there's the highbrow and low eyebrow people. So the high eyebrow people is like having a speed bump that's far away from the end of the street, like the top picture. So if my speed bump or my eyebrow is right here, the data, imagine it racing down your head to get to your eye. Well, it's got to go slow because it's got to go over the speed bump and then try and get back into my eye. However, if it's low brow, then it can race down my forehead and get immediately to my input device. Does that make sense? Yes, no?
Yes.
All right.
Can we make it so that if people do this, it means yes, and if people do that, it means no?
Yep.
I just want everybody else to know that because sometimes it's a little scary. Maria's on board. That's good.
All right. So high eyebrow. So what that means is kind of proceed with caution. So when you see this is like having a speed bump way up in the head. So they see data and then it has to slow down and then it can't really speed back up when it gets in. What that means is this is usually somebody who needs time to think about their decision. So they're going to take in the data and they're going to kind of maybe check with some other people. They're going to have to go for a gut check. They need a little bit of time. They hate being forced to make quick decisions. Now, on the polar opposite of that, you have eyebrows that are immediately above the eye. When you see that, you know that's somebody who understands and takes action on things quickly. So if you're talking to somebody whose eyebrows are very low and close to their eye, you know you just need to get straight to the point and you can immediately move on. You don't need to give them time or space. Conversely, when you have eyebrows a little bit higher, that may be somebody that I make a pitch to today, and then I want to follow back up tomorrow. When you see somebody has an eyebrow that's almost on top of their eye, there's somebody who's going to either tell you yes or no today. So you modify your approach accordingly. Now, if you see somebody whose eyebrow is almost on top of their eye, their big frustration is that they don't understand why everybody else can't understand things as fast as they do. So they have a habit of interrupting other people. Now we're going to talk about eyebrow shapes. So there's 3 main eyebrow shapes that can tell you how they take in information. So we have number 1, which is straight to the point. That is the flat eyebrow across the eye. You have an angled eyebrow, which is what's my angle, and then you have a rounded eyebrow. We'll dig into those a little bit more. So the first one is the straight eyebrow. So when you see a straight eyebrow, you just know it means get straight to the point. Give them facts, give them figures, and then ask them, do they want any more information? These are the kind of people that if you give them a lot of fluff and you want to go into a lot of detail, they don't care, and you're just going to chase them off versus get them to what they want to discuss. So it's great to know, straight to the point. Next one over, angled eyebrows. Now, a lot of people think that angles are bad things, and that's because watching Disney movies and everything, the villains are always drawn with angles. But when you see an angled eyebrow, that's somebody who can be your biggest supporter, but you have to help them understand it. So once they understand it and how they can use it to help other people, they will absolutely support you and help get your mission across. They just need to understand it first. So I actually have, in the lower picture there, I have an angled eyebrow. Now, if I was to show you a picture of me 15 years ago, I did not have that. But when I became a corporate trainer, I had to learn the content that I had to regurgitate to other people. So I had to understand it wholly before I could teach other people how to do it. A good example of that, Robert Downey Jr. over there. And the third and final one is the well-rounded eyebrow. When you see a rounded eyebrow, what that is they think about the people around them. They think about their tribe. So these are the kind of people that you're going to ask, hey, how's your family doing? Hey, how's the kids? Hey, how's the dog? You ask about everything around them first, and then you bring it back to them. They're not always the person who focuses on themselves first. Opposite of the angled eyebrows, talk about them first and then how it can help the other people. So do those 2 contradictions make sense when you see the different eyebrows? Perfect. All right, and the question you can ask them is, hey, share your opinion with them. Because they like to know the tribe mentality and the people around them, they're going to ask other people their opinions whenever they're making decisions. Now, if this was a sales technique and I was going in to talk to a corporation, I would talk about how the customers are going to benefit, how their coworkers are going to benefit, and then I would bring it back to them. Any questions so far?
So I want to throw some people up on the screen, and then you tell me what, based on their eyebrows, if they're going to make decisions or not quickly.
Sure.
Right? So that way we can see what's there. So what if I did this? What if I said, boom, who's this kid?
Oh, and I have to stop sharing, I think. All right, go for it.
What? Did it change? Yes. Okay. So now let's look at him. What do we get from him?
We can't see anything.
Yeah, we just see the group view.
Yeah, we can't determine. You gotta call them out.
Lots of faces, just not the one you're popping up.
Wow, that's awesome, because I clicked it as pinned, but I thought because I pinned it, it would show up that way. No. So Tyler, say something.
If you click on Spotlight, I think it spotlights it for everybody.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta move over.
Sure.
Spotlight video. What does that
There
do?
you go.
There you go.
Dang, he's smart too.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Right. So if you look, well, I mean, we could ask the group here, but
Yeah, let's ask the group. What
Yeah.
is it with Tyler?
He has a straight eyebrows.
Mhm.
Can you turn to the side a little bit? Let's do like
Yeah.
like when you got arrested. Remember?
Wow, that escalated quickly. You should have paid him for him not to say anything, man.
Right.
Yes,
So
he's
what-
got the straight
Yeah,
eyebrows. So
You
straight
can go
eyebrows.
straight now, Tyler. I was just wanted you to move around so we can see a little bit. There you
Okay.
go.
Straight
All
to the
right.
point.
So we got straight to the point. Okay, what else?
what's the height of his eyebrows?
Yeah, they're pretty high.
Right. So Tyler, I'm going to guess that you're the kind of person who doesn't like having to make rush decisions. You're like, okay, hey, let me think about it. Let me just go over the facts a little bit, and then you make your decision versus immediately being the person to jump into things.
Absolutely. I need to review it and fully understand whatever concept I'm looking at before. That's where I feel most comfortable making any kind of decision.
So if you don't mind can I use you for a few other examples since you're
Go
putting
for
on
it.
the screen? Okay. So there's this area called the self-will pad right here with Tyler's face. And what that means is he's always pushing himself all the time. No one will ever push him more than he'll push himself. So that's one of those things that makes him successful because he's always driving, always pushing for just a little bit more. So when you see that area in between the eyebrows where it's kind of farther apart, that is someone. You're probably your own worst critic. It wouldn't matter if you had a micromanaging boss or not, because you're always thinking in your head, oh, I need to be doing this. I need to be working on this. I need to be doing this. Is that pretty accurate?
Yep.
And the reason I asked for his permission first is the other part is he's got a kind of a flatter upper lip, which means people who usually don't like talking about themselves first. So they'll open up to you, but that's not going to be the first thing that they're going to start off with.
Yeah, he nailed you spot on, bro. And this is the first time he saw you.
Yep.
And this is a lot more fun than the PowerPoints, I know. So yes, that's the advantage of it. And I literally learned it from a book, and then I got certified in it and now teach it because I realized this is something everybody needs. And like I said, I'm an introverted extrovert. I love to be around people, but I needed something to get me out of my own head. And by focusing on other people and just looking about how can I better communicate with them, one, people know when you're trying to make a real connection with them. And then two, it got me out of my own head. So I wasn't overthinking and stuttering and stumbling everywhere. So, all right.
You're muted, Joe.
Muted, Joe. We can't hear you.
Let's pick on the next person.
Okay. So,
He's like, damn it. Yeah.
yeah.
Damn it.
Should have had the
What did you
camera
draw
on.
your eyebrows on?
Right.
Well,
Hey,
so
that's a good question. I was thinking about that.
That's what,
excellent
me too,
question.
man. I was like, well, what
Yeah.
if you actually do it with a Sharpie like
Yeah.
I used to
It's
do?
like,
So you actually are choosing like your eyebrows, but you just don't really know why you've ever done it. But see, yours are kind of a mix. They're not really angled. They're not really rounded. So you're kind of a hybrid between the two, right? So I would go more rounded than I would angled, but they go up just a little bit, right? But I would say you're the one who focuses on other people first and then comes back. And so if I was selling to you, I would talk about how everybody else is going to benefit first. Now, what stands out about you is you have the little lines right here. So if you remember when we were a kid, we used to draw a smiley face and we put those little etches on it. Well, she's got that. So what that means is there's some parts of yourself you're just never going to share with anybody because you're like, that's just for me to know about myself, and I don't need to share it with anybody else. And you know it's true because she just went like this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Nice.
holds it all in, right?
Yeah.
So people ask this all the time. Okay, well, does this mean you can somehow take advantage of the situation? Are you using it against people? It's no different than reading a body language book. It's just wanting to understand what's going on in the present, how better to communicate with other people. So I use it socially. I use it at networking events. We teach it to businesses. And in sales, it's an invaluable skill.
Perfect. Okay, let's scare somebody else now. Okay, so I'm gonna say cancel that one. We're gonna come over here. Spotlight, because Tyler taught me that.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Now, besides being angry, what can you tell about him, Brian?
Well, does anybody else want to guess what the eyebrows are?
Feel free to unmute and jump in with what you're reading off of Josiah.
there's straight, but they're also very close to the eyes.
Right.
So, they're actually a little bit at angle on this side over here.
Right.
I'll point at the computer, but you guys won't see that. But
So, well, here's what's interesting about him. So,
Doesn't he go
sides of
flat
the face.
with the round? So I have to be to the point and then explain about the people around him? Or do we
Well,
just, you know,
Here's the
because he's
funny
going to
part.
make
So-
a decision fast. I already
Yeah.
can feel he's going to make a decision fast based on how close his
His eyebrows are in.
Yeah. So the eyebrows are definitely closer. So he understands things very fast, right? Makes decisions fast. The other part that you can't see unless we have him turn to his left or right is he's process driven, meaning step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If I go from step 1 to step 4, he's like, whoa, what happened to 2 and 3, right? And that's based on the brow ridge that's across here. So he's also one of the ones who's going to sit in the back and he'll always be kind of nodding along. But at the same time, he's always judging and thinking in his head. So people think all the time, like, oh, he's not really interested. He's not paying attention. No, he's like the kind of person who'll sit in the back of the room because he can take more information in that way versus being front and center, right?
Yeah, that was spot on.
Fantastic. All right, so let's get one more because I can see that there's somebody who's learning back there. Sorry, I got to move because I can't see everybody on the Zoom. But I want to pick right here because we got 2 right here, and little one was already looking at eyebrows and seeing how she could figure this out. So I was impressed.
She's loving this stuff, man.
Yes, she's like, oh, I got everybody in school now. The teacher's gonna come up. She's like, I know how to play the teacher. I got it. So all right, so we'll pick on Ryan. We'll do Dad first.
And this is Isabella. Just so you guys know.
Isabella, tell us what you know about
Hi,
Dad.
Isabella.
Looking at it.
It's okay. They're nice people.
Yeah.
All right, you can tear me apart
Gary
first.
a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No, so the first thing I would notice, let's go a totally different route. What we were talking about before is a reactive skill. He's got a Camp Gladiator shirt on, right? So if I wanted to talk about athletics, Camp Gladiator, that's something he's interested in, right? He's rocking the logo right now. So with the eyebrows, what's interesting about his is you see they're a little bit rounded just across here, but he actually has 2 different ones. So if you look on the one that's angled towards us now, that one looks a little more rounded, but then the one that's on his right-hand side is his business one. That one seems to be a little more angled. Now, so here's what's interesting is his eyebrows, you can't really see from where you're at. So you see how he had to come closer to the camera? That's actually a benefit. And Joe has this and he knows it, so we didn't use him, but that's what's called chameleon eyebrows. If you can't really easily make out what the shape is, that draws people in closer to try and figure out what the eyebrows are. So it's actually a benefit to people. And Joe's smiling because he knows he has them also. So
because we're great that way, Ryan. We're great that way.
Yes, exactly.
So going back to the example of the voice earlier, if you look at his eyes to ear ratio, he's more larger ears than eyes. So I'd say he's definitely more auditory than visual. So you'd be the kind of person I'd call versus email or text first. But yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because I'm actually very visual.
Oh, are you really? See?
Yeah, it's crazy. I have a hard time processing things actually when I'm listening. So sometimes I'll have to listen to something more than one time to actually take it in and digest it, and then come up with an answer.
So, do you listen to a lot of Audible?
A lot, yeah.
Okay, so here's my trick for that because I suffer from the same disease. Speed it up to 1.5 or 1.25 because when it's going faster, it forces me to pay attention to it. Versus if I leave it on regular speed, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm never paying attention. But if I speed it up, then it forces me to pay attention to Audible books.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, I listen at 1.25 myself. Yep. That's funny because I had never talked to you about that. I hate when that happens.
It depends.
So what about Isabella? What do we see about her? Oh, don't be shy. You were staring in the camera a second ago.
Come on.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Come on.
Do you think next you guys can read me?
Go send it.
I couldn't see who said it.
So she has
Brandon.
endless amounts of energy.
Brandon?
So what that is she has high and wide cheeks. So you can think of cheeks as like gas gauges, right? Like how much gas can you keep going on? So the farther out the cheeks are, the more they will just go and go and go. So when you see somebody whose cheeks are in very close, those are like sprinter horses, right? That's like rush, rush, rush. Okay, now I need a break. Rush, rush, rush. She can keep going and going and playing and playing and going, and people have to slow her down, right?
Oh yeah, she's our pistol, man.
Yep.
Yeah, she's locked and loaded.
Yep. And looks like she's got rounded eyebrows right now. It's kind of hard to see from here, right?
Get out there.
Yep. But definitely
Chameleon.
the cheek things are the first part that I really can read about her. That's like, yeah, endless amounts of energy for sure.
Yep. She's all over. She's crazy.
That's awesome.
We can't hold her down. She's going to be the president of the United States one day.
Absolutely.
It's a good problem to have.
All right, so let's jump over real quick. We got Brandon. Brandon, you're gonna have to like show us your head a little bit, you know.
All right,
Yeah.
fine. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while, so that's like.
Yeah. It's a
That is
pandemic.
one
hairdo.
advantage
We
I
got-
have during this whole thing. I don't need to get haircut, so my look doesn't really change during all this.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yeah. All right. So 2 things about him that you can see. First off is I'm going to go something different we haven't talked about with other people. So nose, this part of his nose is called the frenulum, hangs down just a little bit. That's somebody who's highly analytical. So always analyzing the situations. And then the grooves on the side of the nose has a hard time delegating things to other people because nobody will do it quite as good as he does, right? Because he's so analytical. So
That's what I like to. That's what I'd like to think.
flat
Where
upper
Where
lip,
the
doesn't like-
Brian?
what's that?
Where were the grooves located? Because when you put it on spotlight,
On the
you
side,
can't see both.
side of the nostrils. See how you can make out the groove on each side. Now, what's interesting, and we didn't talk about this, is there's actually 2 sides to your face. So there's a personal side and a professional side. And the way to tell the difference is if you were to ask somebody, "Hey, are you married?" That would be a personal question, so it'd be on your left-hand side. Now, you can also do L for personal, but then people think you're doing the loser sign. It's not always the best thing to do. But that's an easy way to think about it is if you walked up to somebody and said, "Hey, are you married?" That's their personal side. And then the other side is their business side. That makes sense?
Okay. Wow.
His camera froze up.
So
No,
is
he's
it
just
always
sitting
going
really
to be the
still.
left and right, or does it change person to person?
It's normally left versus right. Now, there are a few people, like I'm actually reading a book on left brain versus right brain thinking right now. And there are some people who have almost like connected brains, and they are the ones that kind of deviate. So a simple example I give people all the time is I naturally look at where somebody's watch located, what hand is on, then I know are they right-handed or left-handed. But there's some people who are left-handed who still wear it like they were a right person. And it's like, well, why do you do that? Oh, well, that's the way my dad or my mom wore their watch, so I do the same thing. So nothing is 100% at all.
Got it.
All right.
The best part was when Brandon offered up, can you judge mine? That right there already said he's over analytical because he was like, well, I could be this or I could be that. And I thought about maybe I was this way and maybe I was that way. And then he had to all of a sudden stop. So,
I'm just super interested with whatever you guys are like talking about right now. It just seems so interesting to me, and I find it so amusing to learn about this.
Yeah, it's one of those, I found into it by fluke chance. I was supposed to go to dinner with a friend who's in from out of town. And she said, hey, I'm at a conference. You got to meet this guy. He's keynote speaker. He's going to blow your mind. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I can walk to the restaurant. I'm not going to come. She's like, no, come out here. And that was 10 years ago. And that, when people talk about that one event that changed their life, hands down, that's the event that changed my life. Because I met Mac, my mentor. He taught me, went to classes to get certified. He was an attorney who injured his knee on a ski accident and started reading up on it for jury consulting. And he loved it so much that he went to academia to teach it at a local college. And now that's all he does is teach facial feature recognition or face reading.
You want to read my face?
I know yours, but yeah, I know you. So
I don't know my face. I don't.
Sure.
You know?
So I'll go for something different on
one
you.
in the mirror, Luigi.
Yeah.
Oh, I broke all my mirrors. Forget about it.
So what he has that makes him unique is see the little cleft right here in his chin? That's the highly adaptable line. That means we can basically throw him into any situation and he's going to adapt on the fly, right? So, I'm picking different features on different people, but yeah. And so he's got the rounded eyebrows, right, that you can kind of see. So they're up and round. Now, so I'll give you one that's a little bit different we haven't talked about. So he doesn't have a lot of eyelids. So usually people that don't have a lot of lid think in terms of what am I going to do? What are, versus people who have more of a lid. And the way I like to do rhymes, like we talked about, is the more lid you see, the more they think in we. So like my wife has heavy eyelids. And so she's always like, hey, where are we going? What are we doing? I'm like, oh, I don't really have a lot of eyelids. I'm like, well, I'm going over here. And so when you meet somebody, I look at eyelids and go, oh, should I use a lot of we terminology or do I kind of not need to work that? So again, everything is about learning to speak somebody else's language instead of just the way you want it to present information. Hey, Joe, I've got a few minutes before it's time to hand it over. Can I pop back over to this PowerPoint for a minute?
Go for it, brother.
All right.
But is everybody picking up something valuable in this?
This is very
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
Because, I mean, this could change your whole sales career at this point in time.
whole life.
Walk
And
up
what
to
we're gonna do-
somebody and go, boom. This
At
works
the
for
end, I'm going to
dating,
give you
right,
guys a
Brian?
copy of this as well.
Does this work on Match.com for those that are on it? Yes.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
Yes. Good job, Tyler.
Now I understand the name of your company a lot better, Brian. It never made
What?
sense till today.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
everybody look at the screen right now because this freaked my head out because I didn't pay attention the first time. Look in the B in subtle skills. There's a face in there.
What the heck? That's right. Yeah.
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 Awesome.
I wasn't scared or anything.
Yeah.
Let's don't think that.
Oh yeah.
People ask all the time, why did I call it subtle skills? And that's because I was not born into sales. I was drug into sales, kind of against my will. And so what I had to learn was little techniques to help me feel more comfortable. So like Joe was joking earlier, if you guys see me on most of the other things I'm in with Joe, I'm in a V-neck black t-shirt, kind of like Ryan Stewman almost. But whenever I'm presenting, I always put on a vest. And the reason why, this is my bulletproof vest. When I'm presenting, nothing can harm me while I'm doing it. And there's all kinds of little things. Like when I used to do presentations, we'd have to talk about, what we're going to do when we start the work. And I would literally take off my cufflinks and start rolling up my shirt. And people think, oh, they're rolling up his shirt to go to work. It's those little subtle things that you can do to convey information to people that's why I named the company Subtle Skills. So
Fantastic.
looking at the three people here, the redheaded girl on the left, what eyebrows does she have?
She has no soul.
Yeah.
Looks rounded.
Rounded.
She's got rounded ones. And then the lady here, she's got both, right? She's got an angled one on her business side and a flatter one on her personal side.
You're just in trouble. That's all I know right now with the one in the middle.
I'm used to that.
Right? You're sleeping on the couch. That's all I get from that
He's
person.
very disappointed in whoever she's
Right.
looking at right in that picture.
I
And then,
think
of course,
she's mad at
he's
Johnny
got flat
Richardson.
ones over here.
So
So
he's just confused.
yeah. So the reason we tell people get more than one picture is because, like, if you look at these two pictures, if you look at the picture on the left, if she's looking for a new home, she looks like she's got a rounded eyebrow, right? But then when you actually see her personal side, this would be an angled one. Well, if I'm going to be selling her a house, like I'm a realtor, I need to let her know what's in it for her because she needs to know what's her angle on the house. So it would be totally different if she did indeed have a round eyebrow. Then I would talk about, oh, can't wait for you to entertain and have your friends and family over here and come spend time with you. But when it's more angled is, oh, this kitchen for you, it changes the way that you talk to the person to help them understand it. And see, he's got the chameleon eyebrows where you can't really make out his on either side
We love those people.
because we like people who are like us. Then we went back to the examples before. So if you look at her, she's got what kind of eyebrows?
Rachel ones.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel
All
wants-
angled. What's in it for me?
Drawn on eyebrows.
Yeah. Then you can kind of see his. See, now his are kind of curious because, see, they're flat, but they're angled at the same time. Those are called managerial. So what's interesting is eyebrows can kind of thin out as they progress, but when they actually get larger here in the back, that's somebody who doesn't like starting things, but likes to be handed something that's already started, and then that's where they really shine. So this isn't just about sales or networking. It's also like with your coworkers. How does that person best perform in something? So when I'd see somebody with an eyebrow like that, I know doesn't like really kicking things off, but then they progress and get larger over time. That's somebody who enjoys working on projects that are already started. You go to the opposite side, see how much space is between her eyebrows and her eyes. So I know her and the other lady on the right, I need to give them time after we give them the information. If I push for a decision or ask them for something immediately, I'm going to frustrate them and chase them off.
So one of the chat questions, Ryan, was what about unibrow people asking for a friend? Yes.
So that's a kind of a funny story. You think about whenever you
Isabella asked it. I just want to point that out. Yeah.
So those are people who are overthinkers, right? And they actually fit the stereotype of where you see unibrow with. So it's like connecting the left side of the brain to the right side of the brain, and those hairs are the connecting points. So there's actually studies that if people pluck those or will trim them, it'll actually help calm their mind down. It's weird how the body interacts with the mind and vice versa.
So how did they react when, like, I were to go shave the middle?
Well, without
I
warning,
was
it's
really annoyed
scary.
by them or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Hold on.
they don't like it when I run up and pluck it. So I'm just wondering.
Well, that takes too much time, right? Because you have to pluck
Yes.
individual hairs. Shaving it on the fly is much, much better.
Nice.
Last part, people ask, where do I practice this at? Everywhere. Everywhere I go, I'm always looking at faces. Of course, it's a bad topic during quarantine, but airports, nobody's paying attention to anybody in the airport. You can look at people's faces all days. I also like when I go to restaurants, and here's the reason why. People treat servers like servants way too often. So if you want to practice anywhere and you want to get a positive benefit from it, pay attention to the people who are providing you with services. Doesn't matter if it's retail, if it's restaurants, what it is. They're so used to being ignored and overlooked that when somebody actually takes the time to look, and all you're doing is looking, you're not even telling them what you're doing, but when you're actually looking at them to recognize and try to understand them better, they feel it. And that's when we talk about like free food, free drinks, free upgrades. That's taking 2 seconds to just recognize a person. It will change your life, hands down. People ask, what if people see them looking at me? Well, sunglasses, right? You can be out on a patio, anywhere else, and you can just wear sunglasses. Nobody really knows what you're doing. Don't wear sunglasses at night. That gives off a whole other vibe.
Giggity.
Oh, what's that?
I said giggity.
Yeah, giggity.
Giggity.
Last part is drawing. So I gave you guys just a little bit of power with what you can learn today. Here's the things that people do wrong a lot. The first part is don't give them the finger. And what I mean by that is if you're going to talk about somebody, let's say you want to tell somebody, hey, I learned about how to understand people's eyebrows today. You don't want to point at their eyebrow, right? Where's my camera? At their eyebrow and do this because it's really annoying, right? But what I do is when I talk about, I say, well, you're rounded eyebrow and I'll trace my own eyebrow. And that way it doesn't feel so invasive when you're doing it, right? And then the other part is don't stare, recognize the person. So you're not just focusing solely on their ear, their nose, or their eye and just staring at it. You're just looking at them and thinking, how could I better communicate with this person? And you kind of look at the different features on their face, even if you can't recall what the eyebrows mean or anything else. You taking that extra few seconds to do that will change every interaction you have. I swear it will. And last but not least, smile when you're doing it, because not the creepy smile, but just if you realize you're staring, you just kind of smile for a minute and people will stop. So 2 last things for everybody. Number 1, what has face reading done for some of my clients? Enhanced every interaction that they have. Me, myself, helped me overcome introverted thinking, and same with some of the people I talked to after the fact, because there's a lot of people who are analytical. Like I took salsa lessons, right? Because just me going out to dance, I didn't know, nope, not at all, don't like it. However, once I learned the steps to learning how to salsa dance, now I can go out and I'm like, okay, I just need to know the steps and I can go and have fun and be present in the moment instead of thinking it's everybody watching me dance, because I was focusing on the steps, right? And then business and personal success. So we teach this to car dealerships, realtors, bankers, you name it. For fun during the holidays, people will hire me to come do like parties. So I did some prominent doctor's 50th birthday here who's a plastic surgeon. And so half of the people in there had frozen face, but I can still read the features, no problem whatsoever. And because you guys took so much time with us today, oh, I popped up the wrong one there. If you go to subtleskills.com and you go /war games, there's a copy of this presentation in there so you guys can study up after the fact. So Joe, I don't know if you want to throw that into the chat. I popped up the wrong one there.
So when I type out subtle skills, do I have to put the face?
You do, in the B.
Yeah, because that's going to be painful.
And I didn't get a chance to put it up, but one of the things I'm going to be doing is a 3-hour class that we do for corporations. So corporations usually bring us out at $500 an hour to do it. But what I want to offer the War Games people is when I get it up, I'll just do it for $97 for everybody. So once I get that set, I'll throw it in the War Games link for subtle skills.
So, and everybody who's on here, what I want you to, if you got something from this, because I think this is absolutely fantastic and what he gave us is worth the time we've spent by far. When you go over to Facebook, share it. Share it out to the people that are there, because it doesn't make sense to share on Zoom, right? But this is live streaming on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook and share it out, because more people need to know about what Brian can teach them, and more people need to understand exactly what it is we've done in this situation, because again, this is fantastic. the information can literally change your sales career. And then I also want, Brian, I want you to do one more person.
Sure.
While we're sitting here. No, Maria, she keeps moving her camera up. I can see that. But there's one guy with just a big old forehead that always shines just the forehead on his camera.
The shark?
So, yes.
Oh,
The
this.
shark
Knew
himself.
it. I knew it. I knew it.
Johnny.
Well,
I
okay,
like
so
the
the first
chameleon
thing,
already.
His forehead.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's hilarious.
well, we know why
But
Joe
normally,
likes
guys,
to be
this
a
is
hard-
Johnny's camera. This
Well,
is-
it's actually, Joe, it's to go with the shark. That's like the fin coming out of water. You know what I mean? So that's,
perfect. Perfect.
So, all right. So this one's kind of a fun one for the group. But so what kind of eyebrows does Johnny have?
Chameleon.
Like
That's
Joe.
exactly right. See, so again, you'll see a lot of people that are in sales that deal with people on a regular basis. You'll see a lot of chameleon eyebrows, and it's one of those things that draws people in closer.
Mm-hmm.
So
that
funny
and the
thing is,
sexy. The sexy.
when I
brings
say
them
this,
in, too.
people are going to kind of lose it if they know Johnny at all. But the funny thing is, Johnny has kind of a smaller mouth compared to face, right? So at first, and I know there's a professional Johnny and a private Johnny, right? So normally when somebody has a mouth like that, they kind of wait until they're ready to speak. And then once they get going, they're going. But usually those are the people who are not the
That
first
sounds about right.
And then
you could tell Johnny's in other groups with some of these people because they all like judge.
Love it.
and then so if
Tyler,
Johnny-
what else do you see? Tyler, what do you see?
On
Here, I'll cheat. Have him turn to the right or the left.
All the way?
Yeah. See the side
Yeah.
profile?
But get closer to the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Stand on one
my-
foot though.
I guess they're rounded.
Yeah.
well, the one thing I could see right now seems probably, I would say the ears to the eyes is actually smaller, so probably more visual or kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic on point.
Yep. The other part is if you look at where his eyebrows are, see that little bump there? That's what's called the brow ridge. And so that's like we're talking about earlier with the other person, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. They like linear processes.
I like it. Turn back around. Show me your sexy face. There we go.
There you go.
His eyebrows are wider or further apart.
Yep. So he's self-driven, pushes himself more than other people can.
Does he have a
Atta
cleft
boy.
in his chin? I can't tell. He's
I don't know. We
chewing
never
gum.
see it.
Yeah.
We never see his chin.
Yeah,
So here's the
exactly.
Here's one that I'll use on Johnny that see this little line he's got right here? That's called a verbal affirmation line. So those are people that are always so busy doing so much for other people, and yet they crave verbal affirmation for the things they're doing. So whenever you see somebody that's got that little line right here, give them a verbal compliment. It's what makes them happy. Like, look, we all like money, we all like success and everything, but when you see that line on somebody, you know that's somebody who also likes verbal affirmation.
That's impressive.
That is. I'm digging this. I'm
Yeah,
digging this a
I was
lot.
gonna say, I'm gonna say this is gonna put out. This is probably the best one we've had. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot I do in personality training, but this is a whole nother level. So I'm a big fan.
Yes.
I-
And my
I like-
personality training's better than yours. I'm just gonna throw it out there, but yeah. So
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Brian,
What
I
do
got a
you-
question.
Joe, go right ahead, Mike.
Sorry. How about a guy like me that always looks pissed off, even when he's not?
that's called
look,
resting
I'm
bitch
most-
face. It's totally
Yeah, yeah.
different. Yeah. But,
So
But
but Tony Soprano has a question for you, Brian.
Yeah.
No, it's like
And
I'm
so-
always like, people are like, why are you looking so serious? These guys all the time,
Yeah.
steady.
always.
We always say that. Yes.
Every day.
So it is, here's the thing. I'm guilty of it. Joe even calls me out when I'm writing notes. Learn to smile a little bit more. So the thing about when you smile, you start to do it over time. And the way that you can cheat and do it is when people aren't around, you can go and put a pen in your mouth, right? And when you do that, what it does is it's almost mimicking a smile. But that's the whole thing. When you're a bigger guy and I'm a bigger guy, when we don't smile, people assume that we're always pissed off. We're not. It's just, oh, I didn't realize I had to smile all the freaking time. So that's really what it comes down to. Now, see, the thing that you also have is you have a burnout line across here, which is you've actually walked to the edge of something that just you had your fill of it. And that's that line that's right here. It's called a burnout line, where you were at your wit's end with something. I have no idea what it was, but you survived and you're here through it. So that's awesome. That means that you're
Yeah,
I
that
think it was
sounds about right.
Luigi.
from that side. Yeah. But that's what it's the when you're focusing, you just focus a lot. So smile a little bit more and nod like you're doing now, and see you already seem more agreeable. See, look at that, everybody.
There you go.
Look at that. It went away too. It lifted up. It got all. He's no longer tired of you, Brian.
I know.
Yes.
Nah, I'll never be tired of Brian. Good man, good man.
And what about like beers and things of that nature? Because sometimes that can get in the way of actually picking up subtle cues.
Sorry, what was the question?
So, like for example, you have a beer, right?
Right.
And or a goatee or somebody with a really large beer. How do you what do you do in those cases when you're trying to read somebody but you can't really see their whole face?
So I just focus on what I can see, right? So there's something associated with every single facial feature that's there, so you just work off what you can see. So for example, if you had a beard, I wouldn't have known that you had the cleft right there, right? But so what you work on is what you can see on somebody. That's why I said, like, even personally, it was never something I focused on, because half the time I couldn't see somebody's ears, right? But when somebody's looking you dead on, like I could see even before Johnny Richardson turned to the side, and I can't remember the other gentleman, I could see the brow ridge that he had. So I knew if I was working with either of them, I would need to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So what you do is you just work off the features that you have. And when I say this, it's going to sound funny. When you pick nostrils and noses, you learn a lot as well. I mean, it's unbelievable the things that
Did
are
you
out
say
there.
when you pick nostrils? Is that what
See,
you
I
just
told you.
said? And
Yeah,
I'm
it's on
supposed to
purpose.
sit here and let
I
that
was saying
go?
if anybody was paying attention.
I'm not letting that go, bro.
Yes.
Come on.
But yeah, so there's literally something associated with every feature. And because the face is divided into 2 sides, a personal and a professional side, that's double the features everywhere. So you can literally see people, like you guys remember earlier, you said the woman that looks like you're in trouble. That's because she had an angled eyebrow, and then she had a flat eyebrow as well. So we're going to pick on Joe. So what does Joe have that Johnny Richardson had? There's 2 things right away.
Sexiness.
Yeah.
Obvious sexiness.
Yeah, obviously, super
Obviously.
handsome,
Yeah.
ultra handsome.
Chameleon eyebrows.
Chameleon eyebrows. And then he's got one other thing. That
They
Johnny
both have a lot of space in the middle from eyebrow to eyebrow.
And if you turn to the left or the right, Joe. So see that bump, that ridge?
That bump, yeah.
Yeah.
What bump? Where is it at?
The brow ridge right across here, like where the eyebrows are. See how there's a ridge there? That's the linear thinkers.
Yes, everything goes in order, people.
So hey, look the same way you are and lean your head forward just a little bit so when you see the green screen. See, now you can see that brow ridge. See how it's like a bump on his forehead there? Like
Very
where the eyebrows are?
Neanderthal-like.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. That's way too close, sir.
How about my eyes? What does that tell you?
They never lie, man. They never lie.
For those of you who are on video calls with us and Joe, here's the thing you're never going to not see again, and that is he's got a line right down the center. That's called a freight train line. So that means once he makes up his mind, get the hell out of his way, because he's going to just run you over. Once he gets going, he keeps going. So if you see people that have a line like that and you have to work with them, what you do is you adjust and go with them until they're done with their run, and then you start trying to work with them, right? Because get out of their way, because they have to get things done. And then when they slow down is when you can come back in and meet them.
I would agree with that statement. Because I love the get out the way, bitch, get out the way. See? I had to beep myself in the middle. Yes.
And I did real fast.
Do you guys know that?
There's
Brian's changing. Ooh, that was so sweet of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I had the wrong one on there.
It's all right. It's all good. So everybody knows, go visit Subtle Skills, the /War Games. Go check out the stuff that Brian set aside for you. Plus, he'll add the 3-hour link to you. But I do want to just say, can we go back to gallery view, Brian? Because I'd like to give you a hand, because this was pretty fantastic. But I also want to say that, that Mike Giacomino has a brother here. Right?
What's up, brother?
Yes, look at it. You guys are like twins. If I could put you both up there, it'd be great. Yeah, Dre, that's you. That's you, Dre. Yeah. So he's very excited. So
it's not all that bad.
But no, I mean, guys, seriously, did we get something from today that's going to help you close a deal tomorrow? Help you pay attention, right? Ryan, drop in on a customer in the box and you can look at their ears, look at their eyes, know what they're supposed to say, right?
100%. 100%.
That is
And
just
like I
there.
said, I'll put the link in there later. Once I figure out when the training's going to be, I'll put it in War Games later today. So
Perfect.
like I said, normally it's $1,000. I'll just do it for $97 and we'll do a 3-hour class. And we'll go
Damn, that's
eyebrows,
easy.
eyes, nose, mouth. Change your life.
Okay, so is this gonna be like a recording or an actual like 3-hour class?
No, I want to do a live class with y'all and get feedback and talk back and forth. I'll be recording it, but yeah.
Fantastic. Any questions for Brian before we kill it? Because we are hitting 3 o'clock. It's 2:53. So I think he crammed a lot. I didn't think he'd get all the way through. But when I saw the PowerPoint, I was like, damn, bro, we're going to get all that done in 40-something minutes. But no, he did it. So,
Yep.
Brian, I applaud you, Brian. That was fantastic.
Thanks, Brian.
Even
That was great.
Clap.
All right, Joe was talking so much crap about you, Brian. You did a good job, man.
Right. Brian, I feel like you're gonna rob me, Brandon. I just feel like you're gonna rob me.
Hey,
Rob you? No.
He's got the whole. I got that. Yeah.
Like,
Hey, Ryan asked, was it on
But
Instagram?
I just need to shave. Subtle skills. Okay.
sure.
Okay. What was that, Brian?
Oh, Ryan was asking about Instagram. It's just subtle skills on Instagram.
Okay. Oh, Brian, are you on IG? Was Ryan's question. Yeah, subtle skills is on IG. So fantastic. I appreciate everybody here. And please go out to the Facebook, share it so that everybody else can learn what you just learned. And we can all just stare at people the whole time. But remember to smile. So, perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you
Joe.
again, Brian.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you,
Yep.
Brian.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice seeing everybody. Be safe. Stay out of trouble.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Anything that I would do.
Bye.